All right, guys, let's spend a couple minutes talking about English 123 Milestone 1 Guidelines and Rubric. That title is not super clear on what we're doing here. To put it simply, this is our rough draft. Okay, so Milestone 1 is our rough draft. Let's take a look at what we're doing with our rough draft. So essentially what we're going to do is submit our rough draft of our persuasive essay. At this point, we've done some research, we've done some planning, and now we really want to put it all together and have an actual draft of an essay. We want to have an attempt at formatting. We want to have an attempt at putting our sources in. This is like the first go for our draft. And one of the things that I want to tell you guys is, and I quote Hemingway here, Ernest Hemingway, all of our first rough drafts are shit. Excuse my language, but they are. Rough drafts are meant to be imperfect. Do not sit at the computer and try and write a 100% perfect stellar paper, okay? Because drafts are a deliberate tool to get all of this jumbo in our head onto the screen, onto the paper. And if we spend the entire time, the entire week, trying to make sure that that sentence is perfect, we're going to get frustrated and not get our assignment complete. So be willing to turn off that internal editor. And yes, I know that's easier said than done. My internal editor is like a demon, just, got to fix everything. Turn that guy off and let's just write, okay? So what we're doing in this assignment is composing our essay. Let's take a look at the critical elements that we will be needing to address. First one, introduction. Yay! We want to provide an overview of the issue that you've selected, briefly describing the main points of your argument. This is a problem, this is my argument. And then compose an engaging thesis statement. We will talk a little bit in another video about our thesis that will support your essay. So it's an introduction. Tell your audience what you're talking about, what are your key main points, and what is your thesis statement. Then we move on to our body paragraphs. We want to be writing body paragraphs between 5 and 8 sentences long, okay? Not 2 sentences, not 3 sentences, 5 sentences. And we do have a video out there talking about proper paragraph development. So if you have any questions on that, review that video or, reach out directly to me and we can have a conversation about it. So what we're doing with our body is essentially writing the bulk of our paper. This is where we have our persuasive argument. We want to have at least 3 paragraphs, one for each key point. Clearly have a topic sentence, state their intent, and then move logically from one to the other. Key point 1 paragraph, key point 2 paragraph, counter argument paragraph, bam, you're good to go. That's a good strategy there. Your body paragraph should support your argument by combining your thoughts and ideas with evidence from your sources. This is where we're talking about source integration, which we have a video floating around out there about source integration. This is where you say, according to Rowan, quotation marks, Futurama is the greatest animated show that's ever existed, and we put in that citation. Source integration is very integral to a successful paper, but this is our draft, so it's okay if you're not 100% spot on with it yet, but we do want to have clear evidence in each one of our paragraphs. It can't just be our opinion. We need to have our opinion supported by evidence from the research that we've done. 2 paragraphs for our key points that support our argument, and 1 paragraph for our counter argument that we are refuting. Okay, and again, that's the third part of this, is we want to address and refute whatever key point, whatever opposing viewpoint you are using in this discussion as well. So that's our body paragraph, essentially 3 paragraphs dedicated to each of our key points and the counter argument. Then we have our conclusion. This is like a final review of our argument where you can kind of be like, this is what we talked about, this is why it's important, have an awesome statement, drop that mic, boom, you're convinced, right? So we want to review our arguments, revisit those key points that you use to support your argument. This is sort of your last chance to say, hey, guys, listen to me. Okay? And then we also want to include any insights about your argument established throughout your essay. So this is sort of like the wrap-up summary of what we just talked about. And again, don't overthink this. Drafts are meant to be bad. It's okay if it's not perfect. Okay? We're looking for these critical elements. Let's try for proficient. Needs improvement is not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, this is what we did well, but this is how we can improve. Okay. We do want to have it formatted as an essay. So let's make sure we've got double spacing going on. We want 12-point font and Times New Roman, 1-inch margins, and then let's make sure that we proofread. We don't want to be losing points in articulation because we're using the incorrect words or misspellings and that kind of stuff. I'm always happy to proof any of your papers before they're due, as long as you get them to me by the Friday before they're due, so I have time to get them back to you. So that's an opportunity there as well, and the OWC is here to do such things as well. So these are the critical elements that we are trying to hit. The first one is introduction, our overview. Do you provide an overview of the discussion that you are analyzing? And what are your main points of that argument? The second part of our introduction, the second critical element here, is your thesis statement. Do you provide a thesis statement that clearly states your claim? Okay. The next one that we're talking about, critical element that we're talking about, is our body. Do you write multiple paragraphs that are focused, clearly state their intent, and build your thesis? Do you have those three main body paragraphs, two talking about your key points, one talking about your counter argument? And then the next part of our body is, do you communicate the argument in your body paragraphs by combining thoughts and ideas with evidence? Are you putting source integration in there? Are you using statistics or quotations from your sources to support your argument? Then the third critical element dealing with bodies is, are you addressing that counter argument? Then we take a look at the critical elements for our conclusion. Do you review your claims and summarize your key points? And then do you provide some insights about your argument that you have established through your analysis, referring to your quotes that you've used in your text? So do you review what you talked about and talk about why this conversation was important? And then again, an articulation of response is essentially, are you using good grammar, and are you at least attempting correct citations? Drafts can be intimidating, guys. I understand that. But don't get hung up on making this rough draft perfect. It is okay if it is imperfect. That's going to give us room for improvement. So do your draft, submit it, do your best, but don't worry about perfection. I'll look at it, I'll give you some specific feedback, and then we can revise and turn in an amazing final draft. Again, don't overthink this. We're just writing our essay here. You guys can do this. If you have any questions at all, you know the drill, text, chat, whatever you need to do to feel supportive, I am here to support you. Let me know if you have any challenges with this assignment, but know that you got this. It's going to be awesome, guys. It's going to be awesome.